All right, Patreon, I have the pleasure of having Mr. Joedy Cook with me to talk about the Dogman tonight. Want to make sure that you're aware of a few things about Jody. He's the head of the North American Dogman Project. Retired U.S. Army and Iraq War veteran. He's one of the most active Dogman and Bigfoot researchers in the state of Ohio. And he's got many different books out and documentaries about the Wisconsin werewolf, the Germantown werewolf, and Beast of Land Between the Lakes. You've probably seen him on many different shows, including Monster Quest, Sci-Fi Channel, the Learning Channel. He's all over the place. So we are very privileged to have him to tell us about the Dogman tonight. I'll tell you, I don't know a lot about the Dogman, but I do know he seems like he is one scary dude. I've never heard a story about, man, that was such a nice Dogman encounter, and he was so nice to us. I don't think there's any of those.
Well, actually,
Or are
there's
there?
there's one or two that we've
Really?
got, yeah,
Oh,
that were kind of interesting Dogman stories. So
okay.
yeah, they yeah they were pretty good with them.
Gotcha. Well, let's start with the basics. So, when let's say you're describing Dogman to someone who, they might know about Bigfoot, they might know about, uh, your Loch Ness stuff like that, but they haven't really heard of Dogman. How are you describing what this cryptid is like to
Well,
newbies?
Dogman is a canine species. It's the appearance is basically like a werewolf.
Mm,
Your typical Van Helsing style werewolf, howling movie type of werewolf, things like that. That is the best description of what people are seeing. Um, Wolf type creature on two legs. Legs are very much like a dog. The arms and the front paws are very human looking. Snout, high pointed ears, teeth. The eyes, depending on, I guess, the moon, light from the moon, eye chain could be anywhere from blue to red to amber,
oh wow.
to green. It just really depends. I think it's more on the species is what causes that more than the moonlight itself.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Greg from the Patreon has a question. He's got a few. What do you find the range of these dogmen to be? Are they all over the U.S., primary areas, or what have you found?
And the continental United States.
Okay.
Okay, there's a couple areas where they're more active than different parts of the country. So the northeast of the
Mm,
United States. So we're talking from like Wisconsin, Illinois, going all the way down to Kentucky, shooting
okay.
up all the way to New York, New Jersey, and Maine,
Wow.
okay, including Michigan. These are the biggest hot spots in the country.
Okay.
Okay. Then you move down south a little bit. So you have Texas and you have Louisiana, the
Mm,
northern part of um, Florida, going all the way up to Alabama. Okay. Now, when you go out west, California is very active. Not so much in the Pacific Northwest area, like Oregon and
right.
Washington State. Very few sightings take place, but when you get a little bit over to the prairie lands, then you start getting more and more sightings.
Okay.
So these are about the hot spots in the United States. Canada is very all over the place in Canada.
Really.
Okay. Yeah. Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, like you say, Eastern Europe. I mean, it's just mass amount of sightings. The United
Wow.
Kingdom, there's a whole lot of sightings in the United Kingdom going all the way up to Ireland and Scotland.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
it's it's a worldwide
wow.
phenomenon.
You mentioned they're similar to a werewolf.
Hmm.
From my knowledge about werewolf, the thing about those guys is that they're going from human to canine. Is that the case with Dogman, or they
No,
are all
no.
canine all the time?
Yeah, it's a canine species. See, the
Okay.
thing about
Okay.
transformation, um, a lot of people, that's what they look at. They think this is, full moon, this thing transforms into another
Mm,
organism. One organism cannot transfer into another organism.
sure.
Now, in certain species of like bugs and things like that, yes, it does. Okay. But in, a organism like, a human or a dog, it's totally impossible. I mean, your bones would have to be cartilage, be able to bend, be able to flex. I mean, it would literally destroy your organs,
Yeah.
transferring. I mean, it's just,
Yep.
I mean, it's a difficult situation. It looks good in the movies,
Right.
but it would kill somebody. And if
Oh
it
my
if it
goodness.
did happen, trust me, I don't think the people who want to turn into a werewolf want to do it off, because this has to be extremely painful. You
Right.
know,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Um, Stories about the Dogman in the continental U.S. How far are those going back? Are they going back Revolutionary War times or
Yeah,
prior? Or really?
going all the way back to the Revolutionary War. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. I mean, we got newspaper articles on our website, that goes back into you know, early 1800.
My goodness.
And in Europe, I
Whew.
mean, in Europe, we've got some that came out of Europe newspapers. There's one particular newspaper that was in this small town in Germany in 1831. One came rolling into the town, walked right on into the town, scared the people. The newspaper back in the 1800s, when they put a picture in there, and this was before they were able to do photographs, they would carve the image in a piece of wood and
Oh
put
sure.
ink on it, and
Yeah.
that's how they did the pictures in the newspaper. So they did this picture, and I actually have a copy of one of the werewolf, and it's a very typical um, Howlings type werewolf of
Mm.
what the witnesses saw and what the artist actually drew into this piece of wood. It's very interesting picture.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Um, Greg also he's asking. So let's say, have you found that the range of the cryptids? I think what he's asking is, do you find like these guys are traveling for miles and miles in their territory, or are we not maybe sure about that?
no. See, the thing about predators,
Mm-hmm.
is if the food source is there, they're going to
Mm,
stay. If the water source is there, they're going to stay. If the environment is safe, they're going to stay.
okay.
Okay? Animals normally don't migrate.
Mm,
Okay, some species do. Don't get me wrong, but like you say in Africa, they animals are migrating because when the rainy season comes, they go to another area where they're not going to drown, where they're going to be in drier land, and so
sure.
forth. And then when the seasons change, rain season's gone, they go back. Um, some particular cases, like bears, they'll migrate. Okay,
Okay.
like Ohio, where I live, has never had black bear up until like 1984. Okay,
Oh
now
wow.
the bears would migrate from Pennsylvania into eastern Ohio and go
Okay.
into West Virginia and back up. Well, the deer population and the roadkill in Ohio is so abundant, the bears stayed because they had a food source. Okay, so
Mm,
Dogman, he most likely would not migrate, because the reason why we say this, because we have certain locations like in the Akron area, the Germantown, Ohio area.
okay.
You take the Shenango Valley in Pennsylvania, uh, northern Kentucky area, like the LBL area. These particular things stayed in these areas for going back 100 years.
Mm,
Okay, with documentation to back that up. Okay, so they don't migrate. It's the same thing like with humans. Okay,
sure.
um, humans usually stay within 10 miles of where they're born.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you do. And humans normally don't leave unless it's a financial issue, national disaster,
Yep.
um, job, or they just need to get the heck away from their family. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Yeah.
people stay within their area, and so they are, they are the same thing. They'll stay within, the area where they're born because they're familiar with the area, they feel safe in that area, and the food source is there.
Mm,
And if the environment changes, they'll leave. They'll have no choice.
gotcha.
But you do, I'm sure you do, like any other animal, you know, is going to explore outside of its natural habitat where it's safe, though it will go
Yeah.
out of the safe zone. And if it meets up with a mate, they'll probably stay. But
Hmm.
eventually they probably would come back just like humans do. We come back, to where we were born.
Fascinating. Have you found that they're usually associated with a certain type of climate?
No, actually,
Really?
yeah, because one thing we found out when we collected all the data from all the reports coming in,
Okay.
okay, there really wasn't a big difference between summer, fall, and winter and spring. Okay. The numbers were made just a little bit different, not drastic. Okay. So we know that it really didn't matter what season it was. It didn't really matter what time of the day it
Okay.
was. And it really didn't make a difference on if it was a regular civilian, military, or law enforcement who
Sure.
saw it. So the stats are basically the same when it comes to something to that.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, there's not a big difference there.
Have you seen? I'm just gonna rattle off a few places. Many sightings in Iowa at all?
Yeah, we've got a
Really?
few. Yeah, we've got a few
Oh
from
my
Iowa.
goodness. It. Oh yikes. I was hoping where I'm from was okay, but doesn't sound like it is. I'm from Central Iowa,
No, I
so
mean you can go on our website
okay, I'll
and
check it out. Yeah.
yeah, and there's a encounters page, and what it does, it brings up a map. Okay,
Okay.
and you can see in your state where the sightings were.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, we're updating it, so there's a you may not see one. It doesn't mean we don't have it. It's just we haven't had a chance to put it on the site yet because we're so overwhelmed. We are
You probably
getting
have a backlog. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
we've got so much stuff, and we only have one person, that's doing it, and that person has a full
Whoa.
time job. So
Oh man.
yeah, so it's getting rough on getting the stuff in there, but it's getting done.
That's intense for one
Yeah.
person to do that.
Well,
Oh man. Yeah.
we had two people that do it. One of them,
Yep.
because of his job and stuff. So we have another person that wants to volunteer to do it. So it's going to it's going to work out.
So I got a question for you. So, what was it that got you into Dogman to begin with? I don't think we've covered this yet.
But I've always been partial to the unknown.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
all my life.
Okay,
So even when I was a kid, I was fascinated with the legend of Boggy Creek and all these different
mm-hmm.
the Yeti or of the what's that Yeti of the Himalayas, that movie. I was
Yep,
always
yeah.
fascinated with that stuff. And I did UFO research for a long time. We were getting a lot of cryptid sightings from that. I was investigating that, and that was kind of getting slow. So I was doing all the cryptid stuff. Really got into Bigfoot. Did just in
Okay,
Ohio
yeah,
for a few years, and then expanded out. And the field actually got to the point where it just got so politicized.
sure.
Um,
There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the field.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
it was one.
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it turned
Yep,
into a clique,
yep. I got it.
a circle of friends type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
it
I
just
got it,
got to the
dude.
it just got to the point. It just I just got tired of it.
Yep.
if you didn't have the right last name, you weren't speaking at a conference. And you go to a conference every year to the same place, and it's the same people speaking, and it's just like, I know there's more than just these researchers out there.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it got to the point where I just, I said I had enough of it, and
Mm.
I was getting Dogman sightings when I was doing Bigfoot, sightings. Even back in the '80s, I was getting them,
Oh wow.
and I just decided, man, that I'm going to stick with this, and I didn't expect it to turn out the way it did. I mean, it just literally blew up.
It's so. Uh, it feels like it's getting more and more popular every year. Just I've been involved with this only a few years, but it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, you just look on YouTube and it's like the Dogman stuff is wild.
I mean, the thing of it is, yeah, it's getting it's the new cryptid. It's literally the new cryptid.
Yep. So I focus more on Bigfoot myself, but I like to make sure I cover all the cryptids, right? Which is exactly why we're having you on. The question I've always had is, you mentioned already that there's not a lot of dogmen in the Pacific Northwest. I've also heard stories in the past how there's some truth to maybe Dogman is kind of like an enemy of Bigfoot, or do they ever interact, or
there's a lot of stories going about that, and we're getting it from people who are in communities that know that there's a Bigfoot there. They've seen it. The Bigfoot never bothered anybody. They hear it at night. It never bothered the livestock. It never bothered the pets. And then all of a sudden, pets are missing.
yeah.
Strange stuff's happening. Markings on trees, on houses, and things like that. And they're
Oh
hearing,
wow.
combat taking place between these two entities, and then the Bigfoot's gone.
No way.
We have quite a few cases where we have talked to people where that particular situation has actually happened, and the Dogman has always came out on top. So
Wow.
either they're killing the Bigfoot, or there are more than one attacking the Bigfoot, and the Bigfoot can't take on one of those situations. But I'm sure that they're enemies, because give me a perfect example here, like LBL, Land Between the Lakes, right? There's a road, I believe it's called 68. I think the road is what's kind of like separates north and south of Land Between the Lakes, and all the Dogman sightings are to the north. Bigfoot sightings are to the south. Okay.
Oh man.
Very seldom there'll be a crossover. Now at LBL, there's in the northern part of LBL where all the Bigfoot, or where all the Dogman stuff's taking place, there's been a sighting of a very, very large Bigfoot that they call Stonefoot, because he's very large tracks, very deep, very heavy. And the conclusion of that is that he's not taking crap from them, and they're leaving him alone.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So this has been going on for, I know, at least 10 to 20 years at LBL with this one particular Bigfoot in the north. So some sightings have been taken, on the southern part of LBL where the Bigfoot are, just on the northern part where the road is. No sign has ever been seen on the very, very bottom of LBL recently. Now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they were. And that was kind of before they kind of set barriers at that ground, so between the Bigfoot and the Dogman.
Man, that's wild.
So,
and that's in Ohio?
No, that's in southern Kentucky and Tennessee,
okay.
northern Tennessee.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's in Tennessee? Eastern Tennessee or
northern Tennessee?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Different.
Not
by Nashville?
No, by Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Okay, gotcha.
Or towards that area.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Bigfoot has its. Everyone thinks of the Patterson-Gimlin film, you know, you have for each cryptid, you seem to have these like things that really stick out. Is there an encounter or a sighting that really tends to come up all the time for Dogman cryptid that everyone talks
The,
about?
the biggest things that people talk about are the high pointed ears,
Okay.
backward legs like a dog,
Mm,
and the arms. Those
okay.
are like the biggest things people talk about because they talk how the arms are very human looking, the very their front
Mm,
paws are very human looking, not so much like very much like human, but similar to what a human is.
sure.
At the leg, the legs are very very dog like. But the characteristics a lot of people when they describe this is being very thin at the waist, a massive chest. Okay.
Okay.
So, in certain sightings, and actually it's happening a lot more, people are seeing a dog man. Okay. And it's down on all fours. And when it gets up on two legs, they're
Mm-hmm.
hearing popping sounds like pop, pop.
Whoa.
Okay. So, and a lot of people are like, do you know what that popping sound is? Well, there's a theory that we believe is that it has a separate set of um, it just stuck my tongue here, joint.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
where it's able to a certain joint for it to be down and a certain joint
Oh,
for it to
crazy.
stand up.
Yeah.
Because see, dogs, if a dog stands up on two legs, okay, he's going to
Mm-hmm.
go, his paws are going to go like this,
Sure.
okay, or they're going to go out like this. He can't put his paws out like this, okay. So in order for his arms, okay, to be human like, it would have to go into another set of joint in order to get the
Mm,
mobility out this way.
sure.
Same thing with the legs. So where he's able to move in a motion like this with his legs.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're
Oh my
getting a
goodness.
lot of that with the popping sound.
Are we even seeing encounters like as current as this year, or like it's
Oh yeah.
sightings happening all the time? Sounds like.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
we're getting stuff every day coming in
Phew.
to our organization. Some of them are very old, but some of them are just recent sightings. So
Mm,
yeah, there's always something that's going on
that's
somewhere
awesome.
across the United States. There's definitely something going on. A lot of
Yeah,
activity. And the
and it.
thing of it is you have to look at it this way.
Yeah,
For the last year, majority of the people were stuck inside their homes, so the sightings
exactly.
kind of went down.
Yep.
Okay, so now people are getting out and they're seeing more things. Okay, so if there's not a large human population out in the woods, okay, these things are going to be out more active,
Totally.
where they're not going to be hiding to that effect. And now people are out there and they're seeing.
Mm. I have a gentleman. Well, actually, let's say individual, because he's well, the individual is a little secretive. But Mothman 46 says, "Does and it sounds like he's a fan of yours. So does Jody have any more info on the South American armored dogman incident? Is I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with that story
Well,
actually, but
what that story? Let me tell you the story.
all right.
Okay. So I I met a gentleman who was prior military, and basically what his job was, he was working for a black unit.
Mm,
Okay,
okay.
and his job was to recover down UFOs and their
Oh
entities.
wow.
Okay,
Really?
that was his job. And these are all guys that were former Navy SEALs, Special Forces, Rangers, special op guys. Okay,
Okay.
so there was he talked about in the 1970s, early 70s, the United States came across a new species of alien. Okay, he said there's 27 different species
Okay.
that we deal with that we know of. Okay, this is a new one. These were canine in character.
Whoa.
Okay, and they were very hostile. They were very nasty, very mean, and very dangerous. So there was a down craft. They recovered, I think, 5 of them. He said, but they had like a body armor that was kind of like
Oh man.
Halo, or
Yeah.
something
Right. Mm-hmm.
to that effect.
Yep.
But they had no helmet, no gloves, and the right below the calves, they didn't have any type of footing on there. So it was basically just protecting, body from any type of damage.
Sure.
So they were so dangerous that they kept them out of the continental United States and kept them in a facility. I believe he said it was Honduras,
Wow.
South American country. So the facility that they had they were there for quite a few years. And he said they weren't intelligent, but they had common sense and they were problem solvers.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yikes.
So basically like a dog. Okay.
Yeah, right.
A dog will watch you. Okay. You take certain breeds of dog, like a German Shepherd. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Rottweiler, some of these smarter species of dogs. Well, you can go and train them, but they're going to be defiant and they're going to test you. They're going to see what your weaknesses are. In reality, they end up training you. And that's a fact. You can ask any type of dog trainer will tell you, a German Shepherd will train you. Okay.
Wow.
I've got a 6-year-old German Shepherd, paid $3,000 for him to get trained.
Okay.
And he trained me better. Okay. Because the thing of it is, you have to treat him like a dog and don't treat him like a family member. Okay.
Right.
So this is how these things work. So they were able to learn, they were watching, and they got to the point they were able to get out of the facility. Okay. And they did kill individuals there. Okay. They were able to recover their suits, their weaponry, and they just went, crazy and got out of the facility, went into a small village there, ended up killing the people there. Okay. So they had to respond to there and eliminate the situation, which they ended up doing was killing them. But he said that they had special weapons that was able to penetrate the armor that they were using. But he, when I was asking him about that, he was saying, you have to understand, we have technology that no one knows about, weaponry and things like that.
Totally.
And I said, why aren't we using this kind of stuff? And he said, the only time extraterrestrial weaponry would ever be used if we got into a massive war with China or the Soviet Union. That's when this stuff will come out.
Because it's if we don't, we're done.
We're
that
done.
Kind of deal. Yeah.
Or some other alien species.
Totally.
Yeah. So he said, there's no need for it.
Yeah.
But they were able to eliminate the situation. Well, a few years later, I ended up talking with a soldier that served in Afghanistan.
Okay.
And they were looking for a unit, got lost. They had total no contact with them. So they didn't know if they got ambushed, got killed, captured, what. It's just they had some radio problems, and that's what the situation was. And they found them. So at the point where they're looking for them, this was in Kandahar Valley. Now, Kandahar Valley is where the giant was found.
Yep, totally.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
So they're up on a mountainside. The team's breaking off, into different squads. He's with his battle buddy, and he's hearing something. So he tells his buddy, cover his 6, he's going to go up and take a look. So he goes up, and he comes right over the ridge, and he's looking over, and he sees 2 dead insurgents. Okay. And he sees 2 werewolves wearing body armor.
Oh, man.
And they killed the other insurgent.
Wow.
So he's describing it exactly to the T what this guy told me. Now, I talked to Linda Godfrey about this story.
Yeah.
Linda heard the same exact story from a completely different
Oh, no
contact.
way.
So that verified the
Oh,
story.
man.
And it wasn't the same person she talked to, because she knows who this guy is who told her that story, because they became friends. But she heard the same exact thing.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so that verifies the existence of what happened there. So, this American soldier saw these two, but he said a blue light flashed, and when they left the area, so they don't know if the blue light is going through a dimension, going through, getting beamed to their craft, something to that effect. So a few years after that, well, maybe about 2 years after that, I got in contact with a very high-ranking Air Force officer.
Okay.
And he was telling me he works, the Space Force was already there.
Sure.
Before President Trump made it official.
Right.
Okay. So he said it was already there.
Okay.
So our Space Force is working with other species of alien.
Wow.
Some we trust. There's some out there we just don't trust. There's some that we trust that's helping us, because eventually we have to unite against a evilness that's coming. So that's why we were brought in. The whole thing, the best way to describe it is, we are aliens ourselves. Okay. Mars was a planet where we came from. Okay. Wow. There was a battle between the Martians and another species. The Martians lost. Survivors came to Earth.
Really?
With the help of another species.
Okay.
So you had different allies in that battle. Okay. So we're working with different other species of aliens. So there's this one particular species of alien, okay, that the United States deals with. We don't trust them military-wise. We can stand toe to toe.
Okay.
Okay. But they're like very cunning. They're very arrogant. They think they're better than everybody else, and they're basically dangerous. They would never try to pull the stuff on us that they pull on other planets, because they know there'll be a consequence to that.
We'll take them out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what this alien species does, and he says he was aboard their ship, okay, along with other military officers. So they go into a very large hangar that's on the ship. He said they were thousands of werewolves.
No way.
Yeah, he said there were thousands of werewolves wearing body armor.
I was like, I didn't think it was coming back to it. You brought it back to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
These were clones. They call them clones. No. Okay. And what this alien species does, it will find a planet. It will send these clones down. The clones will create havoc on this planet. Okay.
Dang.
To the point that the people on this planet cannot survive. They're being beaten. This alien species comes in, destroys the clones, become heroes, become friends with this society. They infiltrate into society. They infiltrate into local government, infiltrate into their federal government, and they become the master.
Holy mackerel, dude. That's wild.
Yeah. And so this is what this species does.
Okay.
So, but he was saying that, these alien species, okay, a body armor. Okay. So I'm thinking about this, because I've seen something that dealt with a werewolf wearing body armor other than these stories. Okay. And I'm like, where did I see this? Where did I see this? So boom, it hit me. Star Wars, 1978.
Oh no.
Okay. Now, George Lucas is a Mason. Okay. George Lucas had very good friends with a whole lot of other Masons at NASA.
Oh man.
Okay. Now you have to understand, from the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, Masons pretty well ran a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
They ran, NASA. Okay. Everybody in any type of command structure and NASA was a Mason. So he was able to see things when he did, that he was able to see things that most people who even worked at NASA with clearances were not able to see.
Wow.
Okay. So NASA helped Lucas with Star Wars, with a lot of different ideals. Okay. So he had two werewolves.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. He had
Yeah.
two werewolves in the bar scene.
Oh
Okay.
no! Totally. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
In
Now,
the cantina.
Baker,
Yeah.
Now, Jim Baker made those masks. Now, Jim Baker was the one that did Harry and Henderson
Oh no.
costume. Okay.
Yeah.
And he did the werewolf for the new Wolfman movie, the remake of the 1941. Sure. And he did some other other monsters. Now, he didn't do that just to throw additional masks in that movie. He was told to make those.
Wow.
Okay? So what's the reasoning for that? Well, in the 1980s, Lucas Industries put out a book on Star Wars. Told you everything you needed to know about Star Wars, because you had The Empire Strikes Back coming in, you had the Return of the Jedi, all that, the franchise kicking up. Yep. So people were Star Wars hungry. So he did a book that told what each character was, what their uniform was, what their weapon, and all this stuff. Well, and it even had some of the stuff from the bar scene. Now, the werewolf in the bar scene, okay, in that book, is wearing body armor.
Oh my goodness, no way.
The same exact body armor. And I have a picture of it, okay, where it's no helmet, no gloves, and cut right above the ankles. Okay?
Oh, wow.
The exact description of what everybody was seeing. And George Lucas had this in his movie. Now, and I can't remember what star, I believe it was going to be in Rogue One, that he was actually going to have those creatures in Rogue One.
Okay.
When they were on that planet, I can't think of the name of the planet, the one that the Death Star blew up, that they were held captive for a little bit. Yep. When they were walking around with the other different species, they were going to have those dogmen there. Oh, wow. But for some reason, it got pulled for some reason.
Oh,
okay.
Man. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting, but to make it even weirder.
Okay, there's no way this can get weirder.
Yeah. Richard Hoagland. You know who Richard Hoagland is?
I don't know.
All right. Richard Hoagland he's a big UFO guy.
Oh, okay. That's why. Yeah.
TV and everything like that.
All right.
Author. Now, Richard Hoagland wrote a book called Dark Mission. And basically was about the Masons running NASA and how things were ran. Well, the Apollo 11, when it landed and was out looking around, it found a crashed object in one of the craters. And there were body parts of a robot. So they took photographs of it. So Richard Hoagland was able to get the copies of the pictures under the Freedom of Information Act.
Oh, wow.
And plus he got them from friends from NASA. And he actually got the colored ones from the friends from NASA. And guess what the robot looked like?
If you say R2D2 is C3PO, I'm going to just toss really?
CP30. Google.
Oh my goodness.
Google Richard Hoagland's Dark Mission robot head, and it's CP30's head.
Wow.
And there's also,
that is awesome.
Not in this book, but there's also a photograph of a spaceship that was captured by NASA astronauts while they're flying over the moon of a spaceship sitting in a crater that is identical to the Millennium Falcon.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
right. But see, so this gives kind of credibility to the existence of these creatures. Now, we have to sit there and look at is Dogman, is he supernatural? Is he flesh and blood? Is he extraterrestrial? Well, it really depends how you look at it. Okay. Now, when you look at extraterrestrial stuff and the supernatural kind of goes in hand to hand a little bit. Okay, because people talk about, they see these things going through dimensions, they see them disappear, just a whole kind of weird stuff. Okay, same thing with the extraterrestrial things. Okay, so but the flesh and blood, I kind of think is a lot more to the point that maybe if these alien dogmen exist, okay, and if they were here, if they came and explored our planet, they're able to take off their armor and hang with the wolves and not be noticed. Okay,
God, that's wild.
And they might mate with the wolves, females.
Yeah.
And this is where we get dogmen. It's a possibility. I'm not saying that's what it is.
Oh, man.
But it's a possibility. That's
where
we have
totally
the flesh and blood. Okay.
Jeez.
So, I mean, and this is what makes this subject so fascinating, because
it's super fascinating now.
When you open one door, you're opening up 100 different.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really, really crazy.
Jody, this is awesome. I have to ask you straight up, is there any part of anything you just said that you're like, oh, I really don't want that getting out? Or I've assumed you've said the same story other places.
Yeah. Can we cut for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hold on. I got to take this call. Sorry.
Yep.